like you did this, sir. Dad, sir, dad, sir, daddy. Hey, Coven. Hope everyone's having a great night. It's Ashley, by the way, from the Articulate Coven. I'm about to do a reaction video to the Collider San Diego Comic-Con interview, which we've heard is excellent. Some of you were like, please do this one. It was so good. So I'm really excited that I get to listen in and have a reaction to this one. So without further ado, on my third take of this, because someone just rang my doorbell, here we go.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider interview studio at San Diego Comic-Con.
I want
2024.
this job.
So excited.
If anyone's listening out there, we want this job.
Vampire. I'm especially excited right now because we can just talk season 2 spoilers. I swear.
Yeah, finally.
I'll keep the season 3 teases to them.
So we've got Rolin, Delainey, Sam, and Assad. So that's who we're interviewing here on this interview with Collider. And these people have the best jobs on earth. Just to go to San Diego Comic-Con and, you know, hit all the things, do all the cool shit, interview all the cool people. My nerd heart is so jealous.
Minimum here, because there really is so much to dig into that I'm excited to discuss. First, a big question for anyone who wants to jump in. Now that we could talk about any scene we want, for each of you, which scene of season 2 did you think was going to be the most difficult for you to pull off, and ultimately was it, or did a different one catch you by surprise?
Wow, that's
real
a good
challenge.
question.
Good question.
Good morning.
Good
I
morning.
come out of the gate nice
Blood
and
in my
hot.
nose. Holy Lord. Wow. I can start.
Big boss, go.
The entirety of episode 7. It's not supposed to work. It's a play. It's not supposed to work cinematically. And I think there was just great terror right from the beginning when we conceived of it. Are we gonna be able to pull it off? So that was
stuff.
that was the thing that was terrifying.
So it's talking
for
about
me.
episode 7, which was the trial, and how theatrical it is. I mean, it's literally, we're watching a stage play. And he was worried about how that was going to work, but they did it so brilliantly. And it's honestly the thing I was looking the most forward to, I think, all season. That I've talked about it on the podcast many times about how much I love the trope of the theater of the vampires. It's brilliant. And I love that that's what they decided to do. That's how they're making their way in the world in Paris. I love it. And it was terrifying. They achieved terror. I mean, those cut fucking ankles, those Achilles tendons. I can't even think about that very hard right now, or I'll kind of gag. So scary.
I was going to say 7 as well. But I think I'm going to say episode 4, Baby Lou. I don't know, like, it was interesting for me because it was like, I was enjoying it, but I had to remember that, like, Claudia didn't enjoy it. And there was, like, lots of elements involved in it and a couple of rehearsals, and to see it come together, it was better than I expected it to be. So, yeah, I'm very happy with that Lou performance.
So Delaney's pick is a really good one too, which was episode 4, the Baby Lou episode, and it is really I could totally relate to, as a performer, like getting to do things you really enjoy in a scene, but then maybe it's something you enjoy doing but your character doesn't. That's hilarious, and it is a fine line you have to walk too, is, you know, enjoying what you're doing but making sure you're not letting your personal enjoyment as an actor come into, like, you know, your character's experience. That happens to me a lot with fights. Joel and I both went to college at Louisiana Tech. They have an amazing professor of stage combat there, Mark Gwynn. And we both learned how to do stage combat, fight with swords and things like that. And it's something that is the most fun to do, the most fun thing you can do on stage. But it's also like, you've got to remember that your character is not having a good time. There's a reason you got to a fight. It's because you're out of words. Anyway, I love that she enjoyed filming that so much, because it was, again, there's so much just gut-wrenching kind of fuckery this season. And Baby Lou was so much that for me. I just, my heart broke for Claudia so hard.
Take that.
I was gonna say episode 7, but I'll say instead, Dreamstart. the dream ghost version that we had. I wasn't totally sold on his presence. I was worried he was going to be annoying. But as we slowly worked through it, I ended up having a real soft spot for that version of Lestat and that kind of sweet, dopey, kind of innocent, naive kind of character. I really enjoyed him in the end. Yeah.
So Sam's was Dreamstat, which and he had concerns about it being annoying. I don't think Sam could be annoying. Maybe, I don't know if he has siblings. We can ask them. They would probably know best if he can be annoying. But yeah, that is I would say that's a legit concern. Is something like that going to work, or is it going to come off as I don't know, a uncomfortable, not great, awkward? But he really did such a great job of incorporating so much of Jacob into this version of him, and I loved it. I thought it worked really, really well. Also, a great way to keep Sam in our eyes, in our literal eyes, because he's so hot, but also in our mind's eye, and remembering how important that character is, even when he's not on screen. He's still driving the action. He's still driving the need behind so much of what's going on with our characters.
I think all the French scenes, I was most apprehensive.
Your French is beautiful.
The ones that we
had. You didn't speak a lick of it either, right?
No, nothing. And I was really, really terrified. But in the end, I enjoyed them. I think more than some of the other scenes, because for some reason I felt I don't know.
That's
I felt
a lovelier
more,
language
but
than
I felt
stupid
more
English,
Armand in French for some reason. It just something about the language is so beautiful and kind of sensual. I don't know. It helped me, especially in episode 6 with Madeline. That's one of my favorite scenes that we worked on, and yeah. So the French.
I love how you learn it for a show. I spent 4 years of high school trying to learn French, and I got nothing. I got nothing left. I'll get into some specifics.
That is terrifying. Assad said the French, and I had to perform. I was in a play one time, a one-act called Coser y Cantar, and there was Spanish in it. I mean, my partner, it was a 2-person play, and my partner spoke Spanish the entire show, and I had to speak some Spanish, and it was terrifying. You think, oh, fuck, I might forget my lines in English. Now imagine you have to say them in another language that you are not fluent in or very comfortable with. I love that he said he felt more Armand speaking French. I love little things that make you feel a little more connected to your character. I was always very much of a costume person. Once I got into a costume, I really, really felt I was literally in the skin of a character more. It was something that could really, really take me to the next level as a performer. I was very excited always for dress rehearsals and costume fittings and things like that.
Specifics now. Delainey, I'll begin with you, because I was reading in another interview that you and Sam worked really hard together to make sure that Claudia's last look really meant something and kind of still reverberated through the show. So can you talk us through the conversations you had and how it impacted the performance?
I had a lot of conversations with Emma, because I knew what it was, but then I'm always hesitant about my idea of it. And then I think we had a conversation with you and Hannah, and then you to me the last look is that's Dad help me, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, got it, and we were speaking about that anyway, but I was playing with how to show that and how I kind of thought it was, and then we met in the middle, and after I did some takes, Hannah would come up to me and she'd that's just keep doing that, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, good, and it was about experimenting, I think.
I like hearing when you work through something like that and you land on something pitch perfect like you do, because it's got the intended effect. It pierces through, and I love it.
Yeah, it was absolutely gutting. That Claudia's death in the season is just horrible. And I think I do like Claudia. I know she's not everyone's favorite character. I have so much sympathy and empathy and pity for her, and I think that her end is so sad. It's so sad. And this version of it was so well done. She nailed it, and Sam nailed it. He was so horrified, watching her burn, and her fear, and she's so defiant. And then as it gets further and further into it, you can just feel her fear and her pain, and I mean, sometimes I like to think that last look is a little fuckery too. It's a little you did this sir, dad, sir, dad, sir, daddy.
Through, and I love it.
Heartbreaking.
Assad and Sam, I'll come to you two with this question because I'm curious to hear how your answers might differ. How do you think your characters feel about Louis in terms of what attracts them to him?
What attracts you to Louis? Why does he torture you?
Else?
Will we differ?
Gosh. Look, I think, being a vampire is hard, and picking somebody who you feel like is going to be able to stand the test of time and be a good vampire, and someone that you believe, is going to be capable of killing every single day and not disappearing or lighting themselves on fire, is what Lestat saw in Louis at the beginning, and Louis is a fighter, and he saw so much potential, and he's also desperately in love with him with his humanity and with his struggle. Turns out that that's not really what Louis wanted. And it took them the better part of a century for Louis to discover his true vampiric self, and Lestat to realize that there's more humanity in him than he realized. So I think that's why they're quite a good match, and I think they're kind of soulmates for that reason, because they can learn so much from each other to become a better
I love
monsters.
that take. To become better monsters. They can learn from each other to become better monsters. I really love that. And I do think because Sam has taken so much time with the source material and to get to know Lestat, he knows about Nikki, and he knows about Gabrielle, and he knows about Lestat's failures and his previous attempts to make a fledgling and partner someone he can go through this eternity with, and his failures previously with that, and how that leads him in some ways to Louis. And also we're rereading The Vampire Lestat right now, and how he ends up back in New Orleans. It's all just so tied together with this need for something, for companionship, I love it. And I love that he gets it. That's why this is so fucking good. It's because he gets it.
So yeah, that's my answer. Yeah.
Becoming better monsters. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I think that's also very, very different to Armand's attraction, maybe, because there's something really astute about Lestat seeing a future, like that future, and seeing the potential is something that I think Armand didn't have. I think Armand sees Louis as a vessel for how he can change Armand, how he can sort of enrich Armand's life, rather than, I guess, seeing Louis as his own person and what he's bringing to.
I love that he gets Armand so well. He just Armand's this guy can improve my life. It doesn't really matter if I do any enrichment for him. He's going to be cool for me to hang with. He's hot. He's friendly. Let's do this. Friendly, though? I don't know that Louis is friendly. That might be it.
And giving to the world. I mean, that's the tragedy of the sort of romance between them. I think it's just all about himself.
Selfish.
Answering this, there's so
Our
many
sweet
scenes that just
gremlin.
flash through my mind. One particular scene that I could do hours and hours of interview questions on is the reunion at the end of the season. Rolin, I'll come your way first with that. I was reading somewhere that your first draft of that scene felt unsatisfying. Can you tell me why it felt that way to you and what you wound up finding to change that quality of it?
Yeah, it was a gun to my head.
This is a really fucking good interview.
We had to chunk out scripts really, really quickly. So, you're also saving it, right? You know that scene. I know that scene from the beginning of when we took this on. That will eventually happen, and 3 years later, we're shooting it. And I think generally speaking, I had
Talking about our reunion
Lestat's
scene in
track
New Orleans.
okay, there was
with Lestat
some
and
additions.
Louis.
I ended up just when we finally were allowed to come back and start rewriting, got on the phone with both of them and talk about the scene, because it was clear we were all looking at it going, this is not working. And it seems so obvious and dumb and so blatant right now, but the scene needed to be about forgiveness and contrition, and it wasn't in my first draft coming out of Louis' mouth the way it should be. And I have two really, really lovely actors who guided me that way. And we got there.
That's why you surround yourself with the best people.
Yeah.
I have one specific.
Yeah, if you ever want to look good, make sure you're surrounding yourself with the best people at their job.
The final moment of that scene, Jacob Anderson as Louis says something to Sam Reid as Lestat that only they will know. I know you won't tell us what you guys were saying in that moment because it's for you, but why did you know scripting it that way was best? Making a TV show and doing art with the same people for a chunk of your life, like 3 years, we all just get to your forced family, and then it does begin to feel like family.
That's real legit. There is a shorthand when you've worked with people for a long time. Our improv, I'm part of an improv comedy group called Improv Little Rock, and we've been together for 20 years this year, actually. And so there is a shorthand with those of us that have worked together for chunks of years. Our cast has changed over time. People have come, people have gone. But like the group mind that you're able to build, the shorthand that you have, you get to cheat. It's a cheat. It's a really cool way to cheat the system. I feel like I love it. And I'm glad they're creating an environment where everyone feels included. Everyone feels like they can contribute to the art of it all. That their ideas about their characters matter. Their ideas about interactions matter. Their ideas about intent matter. And I love that they're acknowledging that, because it is a cheat. And you're very lucky when you get to work with a crew of really talented people for a period of time where you get to have that kind of nonverbal communication. You get to kind of sense what each other are going to do next. I love it.
And you have this intimate relationship on a page with these characters, and then you have the people themselves. And it just was very clear after 3 years they had earned a slice of pie that no one should know about, and that was just theirs.
Secret pie.
I cut you off.
No, I said, and only I know. I'll never reveal it.
I feel like that would have been a great thing if you actually said it and I was busy blabbing
What a
over
coup.
it.
What a Comic-Con coup that would have been.
That would have
Yeah.
stressed me out. Can you give us any kind of update or timeline for when you might go into production, goals for release, anything like that at this point for season 3?
We're working. We're in work.
They're working. Season 3, they're working on it.
There you go.
I'll take that. I'll take what I can get in these
There it is.
situations.
We just carry it with me everywhere I go. I sleep with it. I do other things with it.
Someone give a copy of Mayfair to that team.
I'll get into this group question next, because one of the greatest joys of watching a show that touches so many people is when you come to an event like Comic-Con and you talk about what was meaningful to you and how different people can relate to different characters. So for each of you, can you maybe pinpoint a specific fan response to season 2 that really struck a chord with you? And I don't know,
This interviewer is fantastic.
I guess let it sink in how special your work is in the show and how much it means to people.
I immediately thought of our meeting Ray for the first time.
Ray on set. Yeah.
That's when it first hit me how special this was going to be. That was the first time I'd met someone, a lover of the books and a fan of the show, and that's when it kind of hit me.
Yeah, because we were shooting the scenes from the 1700s that day, and Ray had come, all the way from America, and she was there in Prague, and got to introduce her to Joseph Potter, who was playing Nikki, and nobody knew that character was coming up in the scenes, and it was sort of an amazing thing, and they've been so inspirational to us, seeing those videos, the screaming, and you do really feel like we're not making a show just for us. We're making it for these people who have lived with these books and lived with these characters.
You're making the show for us. It's for us. It's for us, and we appreciate it. That's why it's so good, because it's being made for us. And I think that's the difference between Interview and the Mayfair series. I don't think that the Mayfair series is being made for fans of Mayfair, or fans of the Witching Hour, rather. Sorry, the Mayfair Witch series. I think that it's being made for to make a fun TV series, which is fine. It's totally fine. But what makes this so special is that it is for us. I assume they're talking about a fan, a super fan, maybe a someone who does a reaction Ray. I'm not sure who Ray is, but good on you, Ray. Way to have a good time and get some secret time with the guys.
And so there's a lot of, it's very humbling. We just want to do it right for them. You know, you just want to do it right. So yeah.
Great success. You're going to feel a hefty dose of that in that ballroom later today. How about for the two of you?
I think for me it was when we did, it was around the premiere and we did 92Y, like a panel thing there, and there was a fan that was waiting outside and she had found a replica of Claudia's hat in Murder Mansion, the little side beret. Yeah, so cool. And it was the exact same. The texture was the same, everything was the same, the weight was the same. And she was like, I searched like forever for it. And I was like, oh, that's really lovely. And then basically she DM'd me. And then she was like, I'm not used to seeing people that look like me reflected in this world. And it actually sucks like saying this because it's like 2024. But it's like we've been given this space and it doesn't escape me what the story is that we're telling. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. And yeah, her message was really sweet. And it made me think a lot about everything.
Representation fucking matters, y'all. It does. It's so important. It matters. I promise you, Sam Reid has seen himself reflected in TV and film and media. Delainey hasn't always seen herself reflected in the films and TV she watches. And to have that experience where a fan is thanking you for giving them that representation has got to be an awesome feeling. And it also has to be an infuriating feeling that it's fucking 2024 and here we are. But we got to keep talking about it. We got to keep doing it because it does matter. Everyone deserves to see themselves in stories. Because everyone has a story
that I'm doing here.
Beautiful example. I love that. Thank you for sharing it.
I mean, you get a little nervous to answer this question because there's so many people who are like quote unquote super fans or really, really into this. And I am a notorious Luddite and I'm not on the internet a lot and all that. So I know Gore and I know No Context Lestat and Black Girl Talks Fangs. Jacob Anderson sent me one of these reaction videos to like a 30-second commercial that AMC had cut. And this young woman in Colorado talked about it. This 30-second broke it down for like an hour and 20 minutes. It's like Dada. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. Her name is Autumn Brown. She's a super weirdo.
Get it, Autumn Brown.
And very sincere and totally dedicated. And that moved me a great deal. It just entertained me. I was like, also worried for her too.
No, don't worry about us. We've been crazy for a long time.
For your show, but my thing is always Scream and Jurassic Park. I guarantee you there's a 30-second TV spot for one of those properties that I've talked about for an hour plus. So I get this mentality all too well. Seriously, though, I cannot congratulate you enough on season 2. Really, really exceptional stuff. Hands down, one of my most anticipated shows when season 3 comes around. So thank you for being here and congratulations.
Thank you.
That was a great interview. She had such fantastic questions and they are always very thoughtful in their responses and things like that. So it's great to be able to talk about season 2. I'm sure, they've been on such lockdown about being able to actually speak about it. So to finally be able to share with us kind of the process and what they went through and what their intent was, what they hope they achieved and what they, in our eyes, did achieve. So that's the Collider interview from San Diego Comic-Con. And I've been Ashley, and this is the Articulate Coven.